A mind-bending assassin hijacks bodies to carry out brutal murders. But when one target fights back, reality fractures. The story begins with a woman named Holly sitting in a dimly lit room, pushing a probe into her scalp with cold precision. She's connected to a strange machine with a dial, and as she turns it, her emotions uncontrollably shift from laughing to sobbing. There's something off in her expression, a haunting gleam in her eyes that suggests she's not entirely herself. She detaches from the device, straightens her uniform, and heads to a lavish party. As she steps into the room filled with social elites, she spots a wealthy attorney. Without hesitation, she approaches him, grabs a knife, and repeatedly stabs him in the neck and stomach. Chaos erupts. Guests scream and scatter in panic, frantically calling the police. Holly, drenched in blood, appears almost euphoric. She pulls a gun from her handbag and places it in her mouth. Her lips form the words, "Pull me out," and she prepares to shoot. But something resists. Her hand trembles and she can't bring herself to do it. Instead, she points the gun toward the approaching police, prompting them to open fire and kill her. As the gunshots fade, the scene shifts to a sterile office space where a woman, Tasia Tas Voss, is being disconnected from a machine. It's revealed that Holly wasn't acting of her own volition. She was a vessel. Tas is a possessor, an assassin who uses technology to project her consciousness into another person's body to carry out hits. The gleam in Holly's eyes was a sign that she was being controlled. When Holly said, "Pull me out," it was Tas speaking to her tech team, requesting extraction from the host body. For the transfer to end, the host must die. Since Tas couldn't force Holly to commit suicide, the backup plan was to have the police kill her. After returning to her real body, Tas undergoes a psychological evaluation administered by her superior, Girder. Girder hands her various objects to assess cognitive function and emotional stability. Tas passes, but conceals the fact that she was unable to pull the trigger using Holly's hand. She asks Girder for time off, saying she wants to spend it with her husband Michael and their son Ira. Girder appears confused, mentioning that Tas had once said she was separated from them and considered herself a danger to her family. Tas doesn't seem to recall ever saying that. Standing outside her house, Tas rehearses how to interact with her family. Her tone, her expressions, they're all practiced, calculated, as if she's preparing for a performance. She finally steps inside and is greeted warmly. The family sits down to watch the news, where the murder of the attorney is now a top story. That night, while in bed with Michael, Tas finds herself sexually aroused by the memory of the stabbing. She envisions Michael bleeding from the neck, her mind unable to separate the violence from her reality. Haunted and disoriented, she calls Girder and says she's ready to return to work, abandoning the time off she requested. The next day, Girder admits that she's nearing retirement and had always hoped Tas would replace her as the agency's lead operator. But she also voices concern, suspecting Tas may be losing her grip. Girder questions why Tas used a knife on the lawyer when she had been supplied with a firearm. Tas gives an explanation. Girder accepts, but there's doubt in the air. With little delay, Girder introduces the next mission, an assignment bigger than anything they've ever done. They've been hired by a man named Reed, the stepson of a powerful CEO named John Parse. John owns a massive data mining corporation, one of the most influential in the industry. The job will involve infiltrating a new host and navigating a corporate empire thick with secrets, wealth, and deadly ambition. Reed hires the assassin agency to eliminate his stepfather John and his stepsister Ava, so he can claim full control of John's sprawling data mining company. Girder, Tas's handler, is thrilled about the assignment because the agency won't just profit from the kill, they'll also gain leverage over Reed. Once Reed takes control, they plan to blackmail him, giving them influence over a corporation of massive scale and power. Tas is chosen to carry out the hit by possessing Ava's boyfriend, Colin Tate. Before the operation begins, Taz surveils Colin, carefully studying his voice, gestures, habits, and general demeanor. The plan is precise. She will possess Colin's body for exactly 2 days, just long enough to stage a public argument, commit the murders of Ava and John after a gala, and then exit the host before any permanent mental damage occurs. Beyond 2 days, her own mind could suffer irreversible harm. Taz will also need to recalibrate Colin's mind to maintain control, something we saw her do earlier when she entered Holly's body and manipulated her emotions. The company captures Colin and implants the necessary neural hardware that allows Taze to take control. When Taz regains consciousness inside Colin's body, Ava immediately notices something strange about him. His behavior seems off, his movements slightly alien. At John's company, where Colin works, Taze navigates his low-tier job, which involves monitoring unsuspecting people through their webcams to gather consumer data. At one point, Colin and his coworker Eddie chat about Colin's interest in another woman, Rita, with whom he wants to start an affair. Taz listens quietly, taking in the details, but soon she experiences sudden psychic whiplash, a painful mental backlash that threatens her grip on Colin. She forces herself to stabilize and contacts Girder, who begins monitoring the situation closely to avoid calling off the mission. On the night of the party hosted by John, the atmosphere is tense. John behaves like an arrogant tyrant, dismissing Ava and Colin with little more than contempt. It becomes clear that he has intentionally relegated Colin to a meaningless position at the company to humiliate him. During the party, John mocks Colin publicly, fulfilling part of the plan. Girder instructs Taze Aimiakias to escalate the tension. Colin lashes out in front of the guests, causing a scene and giving the eventual murder a plausible motive. He's then thrown out of the party, but instead of leaving, he hides in the bushes outside, waiting for the right moment. When the guests have gone and the house is quiet, Colin sneaks back in. The plan was to use a clean shot with the company-supplied gun, but Taz, under some psychological strain, opts for a more visceral approach. Colin brutally bludgeons John with a fire poker, smashing his face with repeated, savage blows. Ava walks in on the assault, screams, and Colin quickly shoots her. She collapses, groaning in pain, and Colin ends it with a final shot to the head. Drenched in blood, he then puts the gun in his mouth and whispers, "Pull me out." But again, psychic backlash occurs. Taz can't pull the trigger. Her control starts slipping. In the assassin offices, Taz's real body convulses, and she vomits blood as the connection falters. The team panics. Colin appears to be fighting back, reclaiming his body. Disconnecting now might save Taz, but it could also destroy her mind. Girder overrides them all and insists they give Taz more time to regain control. Colin, now seeming more like himself, escapes the crime scene and runs to Rita's home. Once there, he behaves erratically. Rita showers while Colin talks to himself, staring at a news report that confirms John survived but is now brain damaged. Ava, however, is confirmed dead. Colin picks up the gun and quietly walks toward Rita in the shower. Just before he reaches her, he blacks out. In that unconscious state, Taz experiences a vision. She sees herself standing before John, who is now scarred and confined to a wheelchair. Colin wakes up to a knock at the door and finds Eddie, his co-worker, standing outside. Before Colin can react, Eddie knocks him unconscious. When Colin regains consciousness, he's strapped to a recalibration machine. Taze seems to have regained control. Eddie reveals that he's not just a co-worker, but an undercover agent for the assassination company, planted as a backup in case Taz lost control. He explains that Taz must finish the mission by making Colin commit suicide, so the company's involvement remains hidden. But Taz tells him she still can't completely control Colin. Eddie offers to help her override Colin's mind. During the process, Colin's consciousness reappears and attacks Taz in a surreal psychic space. Colin violently rips off Taz's face, puts it on like a mask, and gains access to her memories. Everything goes black. When Colin wakes up again, Eddie is lying dead on the floor, and Rita, who had tried to help him earlier, is also dead. Colin appears to be in control, but his hand suddenly moves against his will and fires the gun at his head. He manages to dodge the bullet. Shaken, he flees the scene. Driven by the memories he accessed while attacking Taz, Colin finds his way to her actual home. He breaks in and takes Michael, Taz's husband, hostage. On a psychic level, Taz and Colin confront each other. Taz tells him he's been in control for a while now, hinting that he may be responsible for previous violent acts. Colin demands answers and threatens to kill Michael if she doesn't explain everything. Taz, though clearly emotionally affected, tells him to go ahead and kill Michael. While Colin is distracted during their conversation, Michael tries to fight back, but fails. Colin brutally murders him with a meat cleaver. It's unclear who is in control during the killing, Colin or Taz. Afterward, Taz once again attempts to get Colin to commit suicide, but Colin's body resists. Suddenly, Ira, Taz's young son, stabs Colin in the throat. As Colin begins to bleed out, he manages to shoot Ira. It appears Taz may have taken control in those final seconds. As Ira dies, he whispers, "Pull me out." Back at the assassination company's headquarters, Taz is removed from the machine connecting her to Colin's body. In a shocking twist, Gerder is also pulled from a machine that was connected to Ira, suggesting she had been controlling the child. The film closes with Gerder giving Taz a psychological exam, similar to the one from earlier in the film. But now, Taz's mental state is even more uncertain, and subtle hints suggest that Colin's consciousness may not have died with his body. It might have crossed over and now lives inside Taz. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. See you in the next one.